AC here with another T&I toy review, and today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And today we're going to take a look at the new SH Figuarts Iron Man 3 Mark 42 Iron Man figure from Bandai Tamashii Nations. Now this figure comes packaged in a window box type packaging. You've got the Iron Man Mark 42 image down in the right corner, along with the Iron Man 3 logo and the name of the figure. The figure is clearly displayed in the packaging, and then on the window you've got a little bit a diagram almost of the arc reactor showing. The packaging on this one is basically done in the Mark 42 colors, that maroon and gold coloring. Then on the back of the packaging we've got some images showing the figure off in various poses and using the effect parts that the figure comes with. And then there's some writing underneath that which can't really read because this is an import figure. Okay, so let's get this figure open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging, and I think Bandai has done a great job capturing the look and feel of the Mark 42 Iron Man. I really like they've given this figure a lot of articulation, yet they've managed to conceal a lot of those ball joints. One of the things where I think the Revoltech Mark 42 figure fell short was just the way the joints came off looking on that figure. But I think Bandai's done a really good job with this SH Figuarts version. Nice paint job. I like the red metallic paint and the gold. Now one thing I do want to point out is, like here on his chest, you'll notice that the gold on the bottom part under the arc reactor is a little bit different than the gold above the arc reactor. Now I don't know if this is something that's movie accurate, because I recall when I was watching Shartimus Prime review the Hot Toys 1/6 scale Mark 42, he pointed out something similar with that figure. So it may be just something that is movie accurate, and the gold armor on his chest, two different shades used. I'm not 100% sure. I like the detailing on the arc reactor itself. And then just like the silver inner workings on the arms and stuff come off looking really good. And then I also like how they've done the helmet on this one. I think it looks really nice. Again, compared to like the helmet sculpt on the Revoltech Mark 42, I think this one looks a lot better. So the figure comes with a number of accessories. It comes with 3 different pairs of blast effect pieces. These are basically kind of orange yellowish translucent pieces of plastic. 2 sets for his hands, and then 1 set for the boots that attach to the bottom of the feet for that boot jet effect. So the boot jet ones have little pegs on the bottom of them. That's how you tell, and they basically just fit. There's holes on the bottom of the feet, and the little pegs on there just fit in there, and so it gives you that like effect, like you know, the exhaust coming out of his boot jet. So that's pretty cool. And then he comes with 2 different effects for his hands. So he comes with these longer effects, which are like him firing his repulsor blast. And you know, these have holes on the back, and they only work, both of these blast effects for the hands only work with 1 pair of the hands, the pair that has the little peg sticking out of the middle. And so basically what you do is you just slide the effect on that peg so it looks like he's firing like his repulsor blast. And then he comes with another one that's shorter, smaller. This is more, you could use it as a repulsor blast effect, or just like when he's flying and he's using his kind of repulsors to like kind of help steer him in flight poses. I think that's what these are supposed to be more for. And as I mentioned, the figure comes with multiple pairs of hands. So when you take the figure out of the packaging, he comes with 2 pairs of closed-fisted hands. Now one thing I want to point out with the hands is when you change the hands, they basically have this extra piece of armor, gold armor, that is removable from the fist. And so what you want to do is, when you're interchanging the hands, is you want to take off that piece and then when you put the new hands on, you just reattach, and they basically have little pegs on the underside that fit on these holes on the top of the fist, and all the fists have these little holes on the top. And this little armor piece has a little articulated joint in the middle for him to bend his wrists, and you just clip it on there once you have the fists or hands that you want to use on the figure. Now I will say that these little plastic pieces don't stay on the greatest, especially when you start moving the hands around. So it does get a little annoying when these little pieces are constantly falling off. So besides the closed-fisted hands, he also has the pair of hands for the repulsor blast effects that have the little pegs sticking out of the middle of the hand, which we talked about before. Then he comes with a pair of hands where it's completely open and the fingers are basically all together. You can see the repulsor there, and this is more of like a saluting or maybe sticking it out for flight and such. And it's got the holes at the back that you plug into the arm, little pegs that stick out of the wrist. And basically, to change the hands, you just pull the hands off, and you see the little ball joint showing up, and then you just plug the new pair of hands that you want to use in. And it's really easy. Like I said, the only thing is you've got to take that piece of armor and stick it on the new hands, and once again, like I said, it'll have a tendency to fall off when you move the hands around. The other pair of hands that the figure comes with is similar to the repulsor effect hands. It doesn't have the peg sticking out the middle. You see the little silver repulsor. So this is kind of like pre-shooting the blast. If you want to have him holding his hand out but not actually shooting the repulsor effect, that's what these hands are basically for. Another accessory this figure comes with, which is listed as a bonus gift, and it actually comes packaged separately in a white box. It has a picture of the couch on the front, but it's basically the couch that we see in the Iron Man 3 movie. It's just a hollow plastic piece, and it comes with these pillows, 2 pillows. Now the throw pillows are basically attached to each other, but they are a separate piece, and again, they're just hollow plastic. Kind of little indents on them for like where you would have your head laid down or something, and then you can just have the figure sit down on the couch like you see in the movie if you wanted to. You should note that the figure does not come with a figure stand. Most of these imported figures do come with figure stands, but this Iron Man figure does not have one. Okay, and this figure stands just a little taller than 6 inches tall. He is basically in scale. This figure is in scale with like the Revoltech Iron Man Mark 42. They're virtually about the same height. And also these SH Figuarts seem to be in pretty good scale with like the Max Factory Figma figures. So if you're like collecting those Avenger movie figures from Max Factory, then these seem to work pretty good scale wise. Now I don't have the Hasbro Marvel Legends 6-inch Mark 42. I believe that figure is probably going to be a little bit taller. Here he is next to one of Hasbro's 6-inch Iron Man 2 movie figures. You can see that the Hasbro figure is just a little bit taller. Now these Iron Man movie figures tend to be a little bit shorter than your normal Marvel Legends figures, so I imagine that like I said, the Mark 42 Hasbro figure is probably going to be a bit taller. And just as another size comparison, here he is standing next to the Hasbro Avengers movie Thor figure, and you'll see Thor is definitely taller than Iron Man here. Articulation on this figure is really good. He's got good movement at the head. He can look left, right, down, and up. I would have liked maybe a little bit more up movement for flight poses, but still he's got pretty good up movement. And then the neck is also articulated, so he's got even more up and down movement. He can pivot his head a little bit to the left and the right. So really good movement at the head. Shoulders, he's got these shoulder pads that are articulated. And then he's got good rotation at the shoulder, ball hinge joints there at the shoulder, and the ball hinge joints actually kind of come out when you want to like rotate the arm, and then they can kind of like push it back into the shoulder socket so it kind of conceals the joint. And then they've also done this where this loose kind of piece of plastic that'll kind of cover the ball joint when you're not moving the arm. It's just kind of loose. It goes back into the figure and kind of sticks out. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but that's pretty cool to help kind of conceal the joint even more. He's got the swivel at the bicep. They've got this figure's got a double hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow really good. Now, one thing I want to note here is that there is an armor piece on the shoulder or on the elbows of the figure, which are detachable. I'm not really sure why they made that detachable, but basically a little piece of plastic with a peg that fits in the hole. Problem here is that when you bend the figure's elbow, it has a tendency to pop that little piece of plastic off, so you just want to be careful. And because the little piece of plastic is so tiny, it's easy to lose. Wrists are on those little ball peg joints like I showed you before. You can just pop them off. They've got rotation and some up and down movement, but again, those plastic pieces that fit on top of the fists will have a tendency to pop off when you start moving the hand around. Got good articulation in the midsection, rotating, ball joint and up and down movement. And then again at the waist, you got rotation and more up and down movement. So he's got good movement there. Legs are ball joint attached with ball joints. And again, those legs those ball joints kind of extend out when you start moving the leg around. And so it can look a little funny depending on how you're posing it, but you can keep them kind of concealed in the armor as well, which I really like. And he's got good rotation, can get the leg out forward, back, thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and then does have ankle pivot, swivel and some pivot, and then has toe articulation as well. So again, this figure has a lot of nice movement and articulation, yet they've done a pretty good job of concealing the joints at the same time, which I really like. So that's my review. Things I like about this figure is I like the overall detail to it, I like the articulation, and I like how they've managed to conceal a lot of the joints on this figure. One thing I didn't mention is it looks like they've used a little bit of die cast on the figure in the feet area, which actually gives it some nice weight to it, so I like that as well. Things I don't like about this figure is I don't like the little pieces of plastic that detach from the top of the hands, which fall off very easily whenever you move the wrists, as well as the little pieces of plastic on the elbows. But other than that, I think this is a great looking figure. Fits in nicely with your other imported 6-inch scale figures like the Figma or even other Iron Man Revoltech figures. So I think it'll fit in well with those. Probably doesn't fit in that great with your 6-inch Hasbro Marvel Legends. It's not horrible, but it's certainly not a perfect fit scale-wise with the Hasbro figures. But still, I think it's a really nice figure and lots of detail and articulation. This is an imported figure, so it's going to be a little bit on the costly side. It is available now at places like Big Bad Toy Store, so if you want to pick it up, check there. And that's my review. I hope you like it. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll check you later.